Hey students! So for our Their Eyes Were Watching God unit, we are going to be focusing a great deal on symbolism. And because of that, before we even get started on the book, I just want to do a quick review on how symbolism operates. And so we're going to do this by looking at a series of kind of sample symbols and talk about what they mean. So here we have the heart, or the kind of the shape we associate with a heart, because if you've seen a human heart or any animal's heart, it looks something like this. However, this shape of the heart, this often is used to symbolize love. And so we have an object that's a shape and it symbolizes love. And so that's how symbols work. You'll have an object and the object will symbolize an abstract, oftentimes complex concept. So love, that's very complex. It's a little abstract. You can't touch love. And so we then symbolize it through this symbol. And we see that in other symbols, such as this peace sign. It's just a shape, and yet we attribute the meaning of peace to it. And so the peace sign symbolizes peace. An object represents a complex and abstract concept. We also see this here. So this skull with the crossbones, if you see this sign, you know that, or you might know that it symbolizes poisonous or dangerous or deadly. And so we have an image, an object, a sign that symbolizes kind of a more abstract, complex concept of danger. Then we have the dove. So the dove is utilized, at least in this case, with kind of the little sprig, to symbolize peace. And so we have the object of a bird, which is a little more easy to comprehend, and it symbolizes the complex concept of peace. And then we have things like the moon. So the other ones are kind of like traditional, cultural, classic symbols. The moon kind of still falls in that, but we're getting more into kind of symbols that have multiple meanings, different interpretations. And so the moon is something that we can see. We might not be able to touch it unless if you're an astronaut, or in your dreams. But the moon is like an object that we see in the sky, and it can symbolize dreams, it can symbolize romance, it can symbolize hope, it can symbolize sorrow and dreariness depending on the moon. It could symbolize kind of like haunting and concern and sorrow and stuff like that. So the moon has many interpretations. It depends on the artist, it depends on the writer, and you can tell what they're trying to do symbolically based upon how they describe the moon and how people feel about it. And so symbols can be a little more complex than just the ones that we've looked at before, which were pretty straightforward because they're so culturally normed. But here we have the moon, and it can symbolize many things depending on what the author or artist intends. And then we can get really into symbols that, like, the symbolic meaning is based upon how the author utilizes the symbol. So we have this kind of adorably confused looking wild cat. And so what might it symbol? It could symbolize kind of breaking from society, or it could symbolize domestication, being forced into society and out of the wild. There's a lot of different things that it could symbolize. And again, the way the author or artist utilizes this cat in their writing or artwork would help us then discern what the symbolic meaning is. But again, what's important to know is the cat is a tangible object, and it's going to symbolize an abstract concept. So you're never going to have a symbol object that symbolizes another symbol object. It's always going to be symbolizing an abstract concept. And so for our book, Their Eyes Are Watching God, there's 3 symbols that you are going to have an opportunity to work with. The first one is water. And so we're going to want to consider, what is it that water could symbolize? Without even reading the book, we know that sometimes water is used to symbolize being cleansed or rebirth. But there's also a lot of destructive qualities to water. Think about massive floods, think about the ocean. Water can be quite frightening, and so there could also be kind of more dire symbolic meanings to it. And so while you're reading the book, you'll want to consider, how does Zora Neale Hurston, the author of Their Eyes Were Watching God, utilize water as a symbol? And since it's a major symbol, you can expect that it's going to develop throughout the book. It's going to start with a meaning at the beginning of the book, and by the end of the book, it might not have an opposite meaning, but it will have grown far more complex in what it means for the story. Also, another symbol that you'll see throughout the novel is the tree. Specifically, at the beginning of the novel is a pear tree, but there's references to trees throughout the entire book. And so you're going to want to look at how that symbol of the tree develops and what it might kind of represent, what abstract concept the tree symbolizes. And last but not least, we have the symbol of hair. It's a very important symbol in the book. Janie's hair is symbolically used throughout. And so you're going to want to consider, what is it that her hair symbolizes in the novel? And through looking at all three of these symbols, you will then be able to discern kind of a message. What is Zora Neale Hurston trying to tell us? What is the purpose behind this? Remember that symbols, you want to kind of analyze how they work, but you also want to get to that why. Why does the author do this? What is the purpose behind it? And so hopefully this kind of is a good refresher to help you remember kind of what symbolism is, so that you know what to look for and how to think about it when you find it. If you're still a little confused on symbolism, feel free to G-chat me, email me, visit office hours, and we can talk more about it. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy this book, and I look forward to reading your reflections on it. All right, bye.